Salutations, this is Grim Devel. Welcome back to our Let's Play of The Longing. I am a lost, forgotten, sad shade. So it's been actually a couple of days. I decided to wait more than one day, because I really wanted to make sure that if something was going to grow, it would grow. But it looks like it hasn't grown yet. I did have a suggestion that I actually just read, that maybe I should put a green and purple mushroom right next to each other, and maybe it's the hybrid of both of those that creates a big one. Please harvest. So we're going to try that. But it does seem like we're not going to be able to get up this episode as we had ideally hoped. So we're going to get right up to this thing. It's not going to let us plant it right on top. We'll plant it as close as we can. There. And we'll see how that goes. We'll have a purple and green right next to each other. And that'll be that. Yeah, I'll pick one up, I guess. So that means this episode, because we're not going to be going up there. I mean, maybe there's something else here. Maybe there's some other part of some puzzle that I'm not understanding. Maybe we should just bring this light over here and just take a look. How am I supposed to get up here? Anything I can do? I guess we just mosey around a bit. I think ideally, I think what I did mention last episode was that if this happened, you know, we had a contingency plan, and that's to go mine coal. Because why not? We know we're going to get coal that way. If we get 100 coal, we'll be able to get an answer from the face, and maybe that answer could be a huge clue for us. I don't know. But maybe I'll bring that this other green mushroom over there also. You know what? I think I should do that. Just more green, more purple altogether. Yeah, grow that. Let's get this green one, because it's right here, you know? It's right here. Pick it up. Oh, cool, okay. We could also poison ourselves. Because, yeah, someone did make mention that, like, the two large mushrooms we saw were in an area where maybe I did plant green and purple ones together. And I just didn't really realize it. So yeah, let's plant a few of these over here and see what we can get. So we have green, then purple, and then I'll plant green and then another purple one. And then we'll head to the coal mines. Okay. Come on. Right there. And then this guy. Please. Anywhere over here? Nope, it's all been planted. Grow it. Okay. And we still have some residual light on us, which is kind of nice. All right, to the coal mines, I think. The only other place that we might want to go is possibly back to this area. Because there might be some stuff around there that I haven't seen, although people have... Oh man, we only need 16 more coal to get the face. Yeah, it's definitely something fun that we can do. That's definitely in our grasp. I'm pretty sure that people have confirmed that, like, I just can't get the last piece of wood or the 3 coins until we can get up this area to our right here. So I think we're just kind of stuck until we can figure this out. And I don't think there's any other mystery to solve here. I mean, other than what I maybe just did. And waiting some amount of time. Another piece of coal now disappeared. It's really nice having this glow behind us. It's a glitch in the game, I think, but that's quite lovely. So yeah, we'll see if we can't get that much coal this episode and then go to the face. It's it's possible. I do wonder if we start mining and then a piece of coal drops and we grab that piece of coal, will our mining progress reset if we like stop and then start again? I think we'll probably try it. We haven't tried that before. I would hope the game was smart enough that it would not reset your progress. But we'll see. But anyway, I think this episode we're going to have a lot of downtime, which happens. So, last episode and a half, I started talking about my faith. And like I said, it's a really... I love talking about it. It's a fun topic of conversation for me, and I could talk about it forever. I don't know how, that episode hasn't been published yet, last episode, so I don't know how well it was received, and I don't want to, well, that is a really important part of my life, and hey, it'd be great if everyone believed what I believe. I don't want y'all to think that, that's the reason I have this channel or anything like that. I don't want to be, I'm not a proselytizer in that sense. And I'll talk about it a little bit. We all have, everyone that believes in Scripture has this kind of, or at least in the New Testament, has there's a commandment to basically make disciples, right? To spread the word. And that's why a lot of people, it's very important. That's why you see people, handing out pamphlets and stuff like that. But that's not my method. What worked on me was, when people would do that to me, come up to me and be kind of aggressive about it, that would just turn me off immediately. What worked on me was just someone being a role model, and so that's kind of how I roll. I try to be an example. I try to answer questions. I try to be intelligent, and I hope that people respond to that. Anyway, so I don't want you to think that I'm being really pushy about it. That's not what we're here for. Even though that would be awesome if people were interested in that and had more questions. And if they did, we could do another series about that, or even just non-video game videos about it or something. I don't know. But let me think. We could talk about, what shall we talk about today, my friends? What do you think, Little Shade? Pitter Pat. We could talk about, we could talk about comic books a little bit. I'm kind of a comic book fan by, what's the word I'm looking for? By association. I was never super into comic books when I was a kid. I had some, I had a few Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic books that I thought were great, and I would get comics books, I got, of course, all of the Calvin and Hobbes books and Garfield books and Heathcliff and the Life and Hell books. I've got all those things, Far Side, that sort of stuff. But comic books, I didn't really get into real comic books until my mid-20s. One of my best friend is an editor at a comic book company. He's been an editor at a couple of comic book companies, and I don't want to make this about him either, so I'm not going to give his name or tell you which companies he's been at, but they're major companies, and is the editor of several major comic lines that you definitely know, that movies have been made about. And through him, when he was at the first comic company, and it was we moved to New York together, me and this friend. We both lived in Tennessee, and we both moved to New York at the same time together for different reasons. The main reason that he wanted to move to New York, the main reason I wanted to move to New York is I just didn't have much left in Tennessee, in Nashville. I'm from Nashville before here, and I didn't have any family left there. I didn't have a good job. I never stayed at the same job for very long. The girl that I had been dating for a really long time had broken up with me, and it was very difficult. Um, and I had family in New York. I went to school upstate New York, and I had always loved it up here. So that's why I was like, when my friend told me that he was moving up here, I was like, that sounds great. The reason my friend wanted to move up here, aside from also thinking that he would love New York and just living up here, was he wanted to be in comic books. That was his dream, was to be a comic book editor. And after we were here for a few years, at first he like worked just odd jobs, like at a video store, and he left a pretty good job in Nashville doing as an editor at a local paper. But he did it. Like he really did it. He has his dream job as an editor at uh, you know he's worked at both of the top comic book companies in the world. And the first one that he worked at, I he used to give me a copy of every one of the comics that he edited. At first as an assistant editor, but now he's a senior editor, I think. I don't remember. But because of that, I started reading everything he gave me. And I got really like I was never super into them before. But I never had anything against them. Like I always, whenever I saw one, I was like, "Oh, this is cool," and everything that he gave me, I got really into. Uh, and you know what? I think if I want to have a substantive conversation about this, I will have to reveal that he was. Oh boy, no, I'm gonna out what his name is and everything. So I'm not gonna do that. But he, um, yeah, he gave me all these comics that I read, um, and you know what? I'll say, hold on. I'll say at the time he worked. This first company he worked for was DC. I'll say that. And so the line of DC comics that he gave me, um, which was a bunch of different comics, uh, and they all kind of wrapped together. Like I got really really into them. Um, so I, uh, but then once he left that company, and went to the other company, he kind of stopped. He gave me a few comics at first, but I don't know. We were both just older. Life was more complicated for both of us. I think they had a different policy about the comics at the company. And I don't. He never like just gave me those free comics anymore. Plus, I didn't see him as often just because we were both older. Whereas before, I used to see him all the time, constantly, and he would always just be giving me comics. So I've read a lot more DC comics than Marvel comics. Um, but I also get to go to like all the Marvel premieres and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome, as his friend, and have pretty much no, not since the very beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not that long after it started, maybe a couple of years. Um, so yeah, I was super into all of those things right from the start and followed all of it. But I still don't buy comics on my own. I probably should. Like, I would read them, I would get into them. But I think it's just the kind of thing where if you don't get into comics when you're really young, if no one like introduces them to you when you're really young, I don't think you quite feel the same way. Like I have this group of real life friends, and this person is included in that group, um, and we talk about all sorts of different things. But one of the recurring topics of conversation is comic books. And when they talk about comic books, there are like four of us. When the three of them start talking about comic books, I'm just like, I mean, I appreciate the conversation, but like, I have no idea what they're talking about. Because I don't, all three of them were into comic books when they were young and they read them religiously. They always are keeping up with the storylines. They know about all the storylines from the 80s and beyond, and probably stuff before that too, from before they were born. And I just can't be a part of that conversation. Even though I do appreciate the stuff that I have read, and also now that comic books are a very popular medium in TV and film, I've watched a lot of that stuff, um, and I can talk about that stuff with other people that have also seen it. But the comics themselves, an amazing art form, really amazing. and I wish I could be one of those people. But uh, the stuff that I've read has been really great. All right, I'll say one of the lines that I read when my friend was at DC was what was going on there at the time in the whole. This was right before the new 52, like right before all of DC rebooted, and all right, we only need 10 more coal. Right before everything rebooted, one of the last really big storyline in DC Comics at the time was World of New Krypton, or Wonk, and it started like right after Brainiac, who is this. And I haven't seen. I've seen all the Marvel movies. I've barely seen any of the DC movies since they basically started trying to like copy everything that Marvel does. Um, and the few things I've seen have not been good. They just can't. I don't know. They like try to make it to Hollywood or something. They don't seem to have any courage or bravery about what they should do with these movies. Um, I liked Wonder Woman. I did watch that one, but even that was like maybe better than the worst Marvel movie, but it was still not didn't really compete with even like an average Marvel movie. Um, anyway, that's all to say that like I don't know what like Superman villains and stuff like that have actually been in the newer DC movies. I know Darkseid was a big villain, but uh, but at the time in the comics, Brainiac, who is a big, and that's why I don't know if Brainiac has made an appearance in the new DC movies. Um, but he's a pretty classic Superman villain, and he had at one point bottled the city of he had bottled a city of on Krypton, and as part of his collection. And Superman, at the end of one story arc, defeats Brainiac, and he's got this bottled city, and he releases it. This is going to take forever. I want to pick up that coal over there. I feel like coal will keep dropping in this mine. Ah, it disappeared. I'm worried. I got to keep interrupting this coal mining to pick up loose coal, and I hope that's okay. I hope it doesn't reset every time. If it does, that's going to be pretty annoying. Okay, I think because he just said that, I think it's not resetting the progress. So that's good. If coal drops next to us, I think we can pick it up. I just got to be a little quicker about it. So, like this guy, no, that didn't turn into coal, did it? It did not. Yeah, he immediately says that this time. Um, so he releases all these Kryptonians um, on Earth. And this is like how this new storyline begins. And all of these Kryptonians are... so I really loved this storyline. I thought this was a very poignant storyline. And I got super into it. And like every line of comics that touched it, because they all kind of interwove all the different comic lines into this big story arc. So the Kryptonians were very people. It's one thing having Superman on Earth, right? And then you have basically a whole city's worth of Kryptonians that all have the same powers Superman has. And obviously people on Earth are terrified by what this means and what they could do. Especially some of the classic Superman villains like Sam Lane and Lex Luthor. And they basically, and there's all this like anti-immigration. Let me see if I can grab that one. Rhetoric, that they don't belong there. Just a lot of xenophobia, like literal xenophobia because they are aliens. And basically the Kryptonians are like, all right, we're not welcome here, if memory serves. And they're kind of driven out, and they form a new planet on the same orbit as the Earth around the sun, but on the opposite side of the sun. and they call it New Krypton. And so this is World of New Krypton. And of course, the villains, Sam Lane and Lex Luthor, they all think like that this planet in our solar system that's filled with superpowered Kryptonians by the yellow sun is a grave threat to Earth. Everything's just gonna slow down there. Hopefully my mic didn't like mess up there. We might not be able to mine more than like one chunk of coal here. I don't know. We'll find out. It would be really great to get 100 coal. I'm just talking about this one comic story arc, but it was great. So there's all of this tension, and they try to like proactively, these people on Earth that are in charge of like the military and stuff are trying to like proactively basically like nuke the world of New Krypton because they're such a grave threat that if they ever decided that they didn't like Earth, they could easily just destroy it, right? So there's kind of an understandable fear there. But I don't know, you get into all these sort of undertones of like proliferation and xenophobia and immigration and what the right thing to do is. And at the same time, Superman, because the Superman never had a home. His home was destroyed. He's on Earth as an orphan, and now that there's a new Krypton, and they form a new government there, he has to decide whether to stay on Earth or to go to this new Krypton. And ultimately, he decides to go to New Krypton, where General Zod, is a commander of the military. But the thing is, because Zod's whole thing was, if memory serves, Zod's whole thing was that he, I'm totally blanking, but like his motivations for why he did the bad stuff he did no longer existed because the new Krypton was safe, was not under threat, and his responsibility was always, and I think the reasons that he did what he did, were always to keep Krypton safe. So without taking away his motivation to do evil, like his goal to keep Krypton safe was a good goal. So he's commander of Krypton, and Superman ends up being just like under him in authority and having to obey Zod's commands. Zod being just like the commander of the army. So it's just really interesting how it all plays out. And then while Superman leaves Earth, all these other superheroes basically have to step in to take over and fill the gap that Superman left. Come on, pick it up. Please. Pick it up. Did I miss it? I missed it. Oh, no, I got it. Cool. Yeah, use the Matic, please. Oh, okay. I think these animations are being a little janky. Keep going. Yeah, halfway there. It definitely keeps you progress. That's fantastic. So I started talking about comics. I just started talking about this one comic book arc, but it was awesome. If you ever get a chance, because you can read all this stuff online now, read the story arc, World of New Krypton. It was really great. It was great. After that arc ended, and before the New 52 like reboot happened, it definitely, there was a big lull in what was going on. I don't know if they knew that they were going to be rebooting everything. Superman basically goes on like a walkabout, and it's super boring. But Superman, I bring this up. Superman always gets a lot of hate. Although I feel like he gets a lot of hate from people that never really read Superman. Like, people theoretically don't like Superman, especially in this day and age where we have all these comic book movies and TV shows and stuff and different media that have really shown how great some of these comic book characters are that a lot of people never knew about before. I mean, even just like Iron Man, like only people that were into comic books knew about Iron Man before the movie Iron Man came out, right? He was not one of your classic superheroes that like kids always talked about. You knew Superman and Batman and Spider-Man and the X-Men, and maybe that was about it. Like when I was a kid, unless you were into comics. But everyone knew those comic books. Um, so I feel like Superman is just, now that people have had a broader taste of comic book characters, they look back on Superman and they think, no, let's pick it up. They think, sweet. I think we're gonna get 100. Maybe this episode, if I keep it going on long enough. They just think, well, this Superman in retrospect is boring, right? These other superheroes, they have these weaknesses, they have this humanity, and they were just cooler because they were a little more just not mainstream, even though at this moment they are all mainstream. They've been made mainstream. But Superman was always very mainstream, so it was not as, I don't know, it became just not as cool to like him. And I think people just think his storylines are boring because he's basically a god on Earth and is basically invincible. But that's what makes his stories different and compelling, because it's not like, very rarely are his stories about, oh, is Superman strong enough to save the day? Can he overcome whatever it is? Although, obviously, that does happen a whole lot. Superman, of course, has weaknesses, and he fights some extremely powerful enemies. But a lot of storylines are a little more philosophical, because if you have these godlike powers, the conflict becomes like, what is the right decision? Like, if you have the ability to do anything, and you're presented with this conflict, what is the right decision? And I think people tend to just overlook how poignant Superman comics can be, because they think of just this very old, oh, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. He, very early, like, oh, this is what a comic book hero can be, and have neglected what that has turned, what like could turned into, and what that potential is, and how that potential has manifested in modern comics. Because yeah, no one cares anymore that Superman is fast enough to outrun a train, or strong enough to jump over a building, or whatever. Like, who cares about that? Gave up its minerals. Oh, we have plenty now. All right, so do we have time this episode to go to the face? Or do we start next episode at the face? Yeah, I think we start next episode at the face. I'm going to head there, and I guess I'll leave you with read more Superman. I also loved Supergirl at the time. Supergirl was a great comic. The TV show I couldn't watch. I thought it was terrible. But the comic book Supergirl, at least the ones that I was reading in that era, were some of my favorites. Anyway, I really enjoyed playing with you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we're gonna trade in these coal pieces at the face next time, and then go back up to the mushrooms and see if anything's grown. And that'll be in a few days of real time. So I enjoyed playing with you today, and I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.